Welcome back to another episode of the Dark Mart Dev Log. In this patch, I added a new type of spell to the game, worked on some helper tools to assist during development, started working on an audio manager system to deal with sound effects, and spent some time fixing other small bugs. So let's talk about some of the things that I've been working on during this cycle of development. The first topic I'd like to talk about is the helper tool I created. It's just a function, really, and its purpose was to help me see the knockback direction of attacks and abilities in the game. I was having some problems with the lightning bolt skill sending enemies in the wrong direction when they were hit. I could tell that something was going wrong with my knockback system, but I was having a hard time telling what exactly was going wrong. I wanted something that would make it clear exactly how my knockback direction was being determined, but it was kind of hard to visualize that just using print or debug statements. So I thought it would be a lot easier if each time there was a knockback, the game could just draw an arrow to show how that knockback was being calculated. I created this scene, which just consists of a raycast 2D node. When an attack or a spell is used, an instance of this node is created at the location of the attack or spell, and the target is set to the direction of the knockback. This draws the arrow in the direction of the knockback on the screen, which makes it really easy to visualize what is happening with the knockback direction. The vector arrows are also only visible when debugging collision shapes are turned on. In my case, I made a mistake in the code that was causing there to be some unusual offset applied to the knockback target direction. With the help of this tool, I was able to quickly test changes to my code until I was able to locate the problem and fix it to accurately calculate a target direction for the knockback. My next big focus for this cycle of development was to add a new spell, the Electric Trap, to the game. I wanted to do this because it would force me to work on some new game mechanics that I haven't tried before, and I needed some more spells to fill out the wind skill tree. The Electric Trap is supposed to be summoned at an area that the player clicks. Then, when an enemy wanders over it, the spell detonates, dealing damage to anything within the impact zone. Incorporating this skill into the game meant adding yet another spell type to my list in the spell component. For the trap effect, a new instance of a spell component is created where the player clicks. Then it has another component attached to it, which detects enemies that wander into its zone. Once an enemy is detected, the spell is detonated. The spell component is removed and replaced with a spell damage component in its place, which handles the effect of damaging the enemies within the zone. Earlier on, while developing this, I ran into a problem with the stacking of spells hitting the enemies at the same time, and only one of the effects taking place. For example, when the player clicks directly on an enemy, if the Electric Trap and the Lightning Bolt are both ready at the same time, only one of them would actually deal damage, even though both of them would get used up. In order to solve this problem, I decided to use a slight delay for the Electric Trap, so the summoning would not be instant. This allows any other spells to interact with the enemies first, if they are available, and prevents the Electric Trap from being used up before it has had the chance to actually do anything. In the future, I'm predicting there are going to be more problems with this system, as there will be more spells that deal instant damage added to the list, but for now this solution was working well enough. Another change that I worked on during this cycle of development was to add an audio manager script to the game. As I continue to develop the game, I'm going to be adding a lot more spells. Each of them is going to have their own sound effects, and I need to be able to manage the way that sound effects are added into the game so that they don't get too out of control, spiking the audio, giving a bad experience for the players. Right now it's not too bad because I don't have too many in the game, but getting ahead of the issue will hopefully save me time later. With the new system, all sounds will be generated from the audio manager. In the future, I can add extra checks and limits that will prevent too many sound effects from being added and overloading the system. I also added a skip for the intro if you hit the enter button in order to speed through it and get right into the gameplay. And that sums up the changes I've been working on for this patch. I hope you enjoyed this latest devlog. Let me know what things I should work on adding into the game in the future. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.